Chapter 6 The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol, 1948. In a nutshell, every great thing starts with a thought and is powered into realization by a belief. Claude Bristol was a hard-headed journalist for several years, including stints as a police reporter and as church editor of a large city newspaper. In this post he met people from every denomination and sect, and later read hundreds of books on psychology, religion, science, metaphysics, and ancient magic. Gradually, Bristol began to see the golden thread that runs through all religions and esoteric teachings, that belief itself has amazing powers. Having spent years thinking about the power of thought, he'd assumed that others knew something about it too. He was wrong. Strangely, he found that most people go through life without realizing the effect that strong belief can have on reaching their goals. They leave their desires vague, and so they get vague outcomes. When Bristol was a soldier in the First World War, there was a period in which he had no pay and couldn't even afford cigarettes. He made up his mind that when he got back to civilian life, he would have a lot of money. In his mind, this was a decision, not a wish. Barely a day had passed after his arrival back home when he was contacted by a banker who'd seen a story about him in the local newspaper. He was offered a job, and though he started on a small salary, he constantly kept before him a mental picture of wealth. In quiet moments or while on the telephone, he doodled dollar signs on bits of paper that crossed his desk. This definiteness of belief, he suggests, more than anything else, paved the way for a highly successful career in investment banking and business. Bristol had learned the truth of philosopher William James's statement, "Belief creates its verification in fact." Just as fearful thoughts set you up to experience the situation you can't stop thinking about, the biblical Job said, "What I feared most had come upon me." Optimistic thoughts and expecting the best inevitably form favorable circumstances. Belief and destiny. Napoleon Bonaparte was given a star sapphire when he was a boy, accompanied by the prophecy that it would bring him good fortune and make him Emperor of France. Napoleon accepted this as fact, and therefore to him at least, his rise was inevitable. Bristol tells the intriguing story of Opal Whiteley, the daughter of an Oregon logger, who believed herself to be the daughter of Henri d'Orléans, a Bourbon with a claim to be King of France. There was a diary purportedly written by her describing her royal parents, although most believed it to be a hoax. Nevertheless, when Opal was in her 20s, she was spotted in India, being pulled along regally in a carriage belonging to the Maharaja of Udaipur. It turned out that she was living in the royal household. An Oregon newspaper man who'd known Opal in her childhood remarked, "It was uncanny, almost supernatural, the manner in which circumstances suited themselves to her plans." This brings us to the magic of believing's strongest message, that virtually anything can be yours, and you can be anything, if you're able to develop a knowing about it that you don't ever need to question. Bristol says of Napoleon and Alexander the Great, they became supermen because they had supernormal beliefs. Your belief about yourself and your place in the world is arguably the main determinant of success. The subconscious servant. If you can understand the relationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind, Bristol says, you will get to the core of belief power. The subconscious continually works to express our deepest beliefs and desires. It's a faithful servant that renews, guides, and inspires. But to get the most from it requires great respect for and faith in what it can do. Because the subconscious operates in terms of imagery, it's vital that we feed it mental pictures of what we desire. It can then go to work in living up to the image placed before it, by giving us intuitions about what to do, where to go, who to meet. Somehow the subconscious is connected to all other parts of our mind, and through the law of radiation and attraction, it can attract events and people to us that will assist in making our dreams reality. However, it will only find ways to make the image real if that image is clear and convincing, hence the importance of the mental pictures of success that we feed it. The force of belief cannot really work in our favor until the belief becomes literally part of us, settled in the subconscious mind as a fact. Projecting thought and belief. Bristol notes that all the great electrical scientists, Edison, Steinmetz, Tesla, Marconi, were interested in telepathy. It wasn't ridiculous to them that thoughts could move through the air, that thoughts alone could affect events if, like a good radio signal, they were strong and clear. Bristol borrows from New Thought principles to suggest that there is intelligence in everything that exists in the universe, and that we're all linked by a kind of universal mind. Jung had a similar idea with his collective unconscious. The force of your belief represents a transmitter to the universe that enters the minds of other people and even inanimate objects. The more powerful your broadcast, the more likely that the world will pick it up and react accordingly. It wasn't impossible, said astronomer Sir Arthur Eddington, that the physical laws of the universe could be made subject to human thought, and modern quantum physics doesn't rule it out either. Bristol's explanation is that a person with a strong belief will exist at a certain vibration that seeks its like in the form of matter. Thus he reaches the startling conclusion that we don't achieve deeply felt goals by action alone, but are helped along depending on the quality and intensity of our belief that they will be achieved. The power of suggestion. Charms, talismans, and good luck pieces of any kind do not on their own bring good fortune, Bristol comments. It's the belief in their efficacy that's powerful. Why do people chant, repeat affirmations, bang drums, or count beads? Repetition is another way to implant a suggestion in our minds, the white magic that enables us to turn a wish into an expectation. By ritualizing it, by giving it structure, the idea changes from being a mere wish to being imminent reality. We give thanks for what is or is about to be. The terrific force of thought repetition, Bristol says, first overcomes reason by acting on our emotions, and then penetrates into the subconscious, where it is only a matter of time before the thought is enacted. This, of course, is the principle behind successful advertising and propaganda. Bristol includes a warning about misuse of the mental technology associated with strong belief and suggestion. It's a power to be used constructively, not to achieve dominance. His book is dedicated to independent thinkers of all times who wish to use belief for creative, life-affirming ends. He talks a great deal about the power of belief to heal physically, for instance. Final comments. Maxwell Maltz, author of Psycho-Cybernetics, said, "The law of mind is the law of belief itself." By this he meant that belief, more than anything else, is what makes us tick. It's the great shaper of who we are. Think of some of the great belief systems in history: Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, communism, capitalism. For good or ill, these systems of thought became beliefs that have shaped our world. Are the beliefs you have about yourself strong enough to change your world?